covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Heilman and Jim Mernier.
Welcome in, fans of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Heilman jumping in and kicking you off, as always, going into Week 11 of the National Arena League season for episode, funny enough, 111 of NAL Gameday. We are going to, of course, discuss about our previewing of games coming up this week. However, we have much larger news we need to hit off first that many of you may have seen yesterday that we are going to give our own thoughts on and obviously relay as to what might be going on with the rest of the NAL season pertaining to said piece. Before we do that, of course, I will bring in my good buddy, partner, and co-host for the show, Jim Mernier, on the other side. Jim, good to have you on. Weird circumstances, of course, to with a show, but I mean, it is what it is. It sadly is what it is right now. And we'll be touching on all things, as many of you may know, about what has been decided on for the fate of the NAL's Capital Region team, the Albany Empire.
Yeah, it's big news that dropped earlier today about the unanimous decision by the owners to remove the Albany Empire from the National Arena League. It is you could say it's an accumulation of many things that came to this result. We'll show you the press release here pretty soon, but for me, it's shocking because we built so many great relationships up in Albany. The fans, especially in our Discord page, loyal fans of Albany. I feel bad for the fans of Albany, the current and former players who played in Albany. It's a day that we don't like to see. We joke about all the time, like in some past episodes about teams not surviving the bye week, those type of jokes. But in this case, it's just, it's stunning. But from the press release with the NAL release today, it clearly defines what is the reason and why this happened. It was fast. From my sources, it was something that was put to vote quickly, and a lot of people from I've talked to is basically have just said to me is like, it's time to time to lead this league to a different path and a different way. And we have 6 organizations that are committed to this league. And we have football games still to be played. There's people out there that said, what happened to Jacksonville? Jacksonville did not leave Jacksonville. They didn't make the travel to Jacksonville or to Albany. So that's one thing I've kind of got it confirmed, but not officially. But I doubt Jacksonville left to go up there. It's just a stunning couple of today was it was normal, a normal NAL day with a little chatter, a couple players, people getting booted from some of these fan pages because they're constantly repeating the same video, trying to do stuff. The usual NAL day. Nothing was supposed to happen today. Then around 1 o'clock this afternoon, 2 o'clock this afternoon, the NAL announced their decision. The press release was released, and we're here now, NAL Gameday. We're going to try our best. Hopefully, if schedule does permit, either me or Zach or just myself or whoever, we're going to try and get Commissioner Chris Siegfried on here to discuss the future of what's the next steps for the league, because a lot of questions out there right now from a lot of fans and a lot of these teams is, are we going to make up some of these games? How is the league going to reschedule everything? But that, again, still work in progress. From the people I've talked to, it's still an ongoing discussion, an ongoing thing to get it corrected to move forward. But that's right now. So if you want up-to-date information, ladies and gentlemen, from the National Arena League, visit the National Arena League's website at nationalarenaleague.com or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for quick updates from the National Arena League. Zach, the question I have, not really questions, just my observation is that I feel bad for the capital city, the capital region. They are a loyal fan base. They loved the Empire. They loved the organization. They loved their championships. And I feel bad for the fans, the people who are dedicated to that team. And now, for us as a league, for the National Arena League, we have to move forward because we have games to talk about this week. But this is such a big topic to talk about. And a lot of it has been explained in detail with the press release today that was released by the National Arena League, Chris Siegfried, and the owners of the National Arena League.
Yeah, I'll read over the entirety of it just to give you guys a read. We'll have it up on the screen. You can find it at nationalreleague.com in the news tab or at the front page. But this is the 1 o'clock release that we are talking about, and kind of I think it highlights why specifically now was the time. You know, I'll, before I even read it, this is my preference. It's almost ironic. The day prior, I had been on one of the community message boards I'm on, talking with a fan of indoor arena football and talking about the situation. Going, why don't they just let them go now? They can cut their losses. They can just slap in a new team and replace the scheduling. And this is why I was hesitant as to why if I didn't know if this was going to happen, if it would. I didn't think it would, because of the fact now you're in the situation of you have to find new scheduling. You have to figure out what your schedule's like. If you're losing dates or if you're going to retain dates by finding new ways of doing this, this is what you've stepped into. And credit, they knew this going in. They wouldn't pull the trigger on this if they didn't go, you know what, we accept that this is where we're heading with this. And the press release, I think, highlights it. When money starts getting involved in terms of you're not holding your end of the bargain up, in terms of your league obligations, Albany did figure things out. They start paying players on a regular weekly basis. That is a thing. Now, credit, the way that this has ended, that's a whole different story. How this has been ending in Albany, we've getting reports of some pretty unfortunate instances, and that's lightly putting it, of how players and coaches have been treated post-announcement. But up until this point, payments and things have been fixed, had been going through. On the players' side, the league still has to have its mentions. You still have to pay your dues. You still have to help maintain league operation that allows for this stuff to run, including, helping pay for hotel and housing for the visiting teams, helping with other dues that get teams to move and travel around to make things easier for all of your members to operate efficiently. And when you're missing payments, as you'll listen in this PR, odds are things start moving a little bit faster when money gets involved. And I think this is where you're going to notice that's kind of where we're at right now. I'll read this off. So I'll start with a quote. This is the entire PR, and you'll see it on screen as I go on. So, quote, and now we can throw it up. After exhausting all avenues, the NAL Board of Owners has decided unanimously to terminate the membership agreement of the Albany Empire. The decision was reached after an emergency conference call of all members in good standing to discuss the Empire's failure to pay their league-mandated and overdue assessments. Each team is responsible to pay for 1/7, so that was 7 total teams. Keep in mind, that's me going off script a little. So pay for 1/7 of the league's operating budget via monthly assessments starting in April. The Empire's owner, Antonio Brown, was also fined $1,000 for conduct detrimental to the league for his recent public comments. A bit side note on that, if you remember, there was a spat publicly between co-owner of the Preds, John Chaney, and Antonio Brown that was under evaluation. This is being implied as that on this PR. Continuing the PR, Mr. Brown, you refused to pay that said fine of $1,000. After acquiring the Albany Empire, new team owner Antonio Brown paid the Empire's April assessment. The team then failed to make their May 15th assessment payment, and last week, just before the Empire game in Orlando, the league was notified that the April assessment was being challenged. That payment was subsequently credited back to Mr. Brown. The league informed his accountant, Alex, I'm going to pronounce his last name bad probably, Alex Ganaris, who in previous communications requested that the league communicate directly with Mr. Ganaris regarding financial obligations with the Empire. Mr. Ganaris was informed of the league's attempts to collect the delinquent assessments, and he communicated to the league that it didn't seem like Mr. Brown was going to pay the assessment or fine. Once the league was alerted of Mr. Brown's intentions, an emergency conference call was set up. During the call, it was decided to give the Empire until Thursday, June 15th at noon, just that's adding on the date, but until Thursday at noon of that said day to make their payment. After which time, the league would be forced to cancel their home game with Jacksonville and terminate their membership in the National Arena League effective immediately. Unfortunately, Mr. Brown has failed to meet that deadline with his team's required financial obligations, and as a result, the league has terminated his membership agreement. The league will be adjusting the rest of the 2023 season schedule, and will announce the updated schedule in the near future. We want to thank all of our fans for our continued support. So as you can tell, so again, you might have part of this solved, but you have to, as was put, and as much as I will say with John Chaney's comments in one said video, he does bring up about a piece on committing your share, putting in your weight into this. This press release highlights that. And I think that definitely highlights the nail in the coffin. When you see that not only the May assessment, but you see the April one comes back, and now you have 2 straight months missed, along with $1,000 that you're owed. And that's a good chunk of change. And you're midway through the year at that point. You know that this owner has the funds to fill out this obligation. That's where you are forced to make a move. And again, I've told people, and I'll say this on this show, I didn't think this would even be considered until the end of the regular season. You ride the storm out and you talk off field when things are done. Because right now, we were looking at the Empire were not trending in the direction of playoffs, so it was going to be a shorter time. But money talks, and dumb financial choices with a team you took over can come back to bite you, and owners had to make a move.
Yeah.
And this is what they had to do. I mean, again, it's not what I was hoping was going to happen. You know, even I know some people wanted it, and I'm saying, yeah, I get what your point is, but it makes headaches for the league.
Correct.
A lot more. That was my argument. But if it's money that's a problem, if it's not paying your fair share, if it's not doing what you're expected to do, and you're bad-mouthing the league publicly, which this is another thing it wasn't really it was kind of mentioned in terms of the comments made recently, which is part of that fine you could argue too. He's mentioned rival leagues twice now in the last 3 weeks. That is a big no-no for any, I think for any, if we're talking PR 101, like this isn't even like NAL thing, this is PR 101. Like you talk about other leagues and like that. You don't mention that. You know, if you're really focused on this, you don't bring up the other one.
Correct.
Or another option. And I think that, that led to a partial fine. And we're at this point now. We have moved on. It is something I think, as much as we've been talking, a lot of fans were asking for it. And I think the league was trying not to make this go mid-season the way it did, but here we are. They had to make a move. They did a move, and they do have plans behind the scenes. They would not be doing this if they didn't plan some part of this out to start getting the phase of, we'll finish the season and have a legit good end of the season. So that's all I got for this. That's my final notes on that, besides the PR's own wording out here.
Final note is it's the National Arena League stands for a brand. We stand as a podcast. We're members of this league. We stand for the league itself and the brand that is arena football. We are protecting our brand, and when you protect your brand, you protect your own. And sometimes tough decisions had to be made, and the commissioner and the owners, they stood by their brand. Don't don't throw away what we built over the last 7 years. And this was something that, as just a fan, it shocked me. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? I see what they're doing. they're protecting the brand that they have built for 7 years, or well, technically 7 years, but 6 years because the 2020 didn't happen.
Right.
Um,
I get that.
Again,
yeah, that you're right. I mean, 2020.
yeah,
Obviously, it's weird you put that curveball in the league history.
yeah, because this is the 6th season. Again, it's in the we can't add on to anything because we don't know official information. We don't know future schedules. We don't know what the league's going to do. But we do know is what was stated in that press release. In translating that whole press release, it says to me, brand above anyone else. They protected their brand.
The unanimous vote, I think, was also a big piece that you had no one opposing it, which I think kind of signifies a final nail in the coffin moment.
Correct.
At some point in this past week.
But again, if you want any more information, it's in the press release. More information will come out later. We will try our best to get Chris Siegfried on here for a podcast later. We were trying to get him on earlier today, but he's so hectic, so busy with all the owners going on right now. They have a lot of work to be doing.
There's a lot of
a lot of news, and we got games this weekend.
Right, and we still can't. If he doesn't have anything for the schedule, like the fixed pieces, which we'll be releasing soon, they are hectically working right now. Well, hectic seems a little frazzled, but they are aggressively working to get those dates down. There is progress behind the scenes currently being made. That's good.
And there are rumors. I've heard some rumors, but I cannot confirm rumors.
Right.
I've heard about the season being extended by a week. I've heard others about teams getting the 14 games, every team playing 14 games, so there's no off schedule. And then I heard that try and get the teams to just leave the schedule as it is. So I've heard other stuff, but I cannot confirm it. Well, that's why I wanted to get the commissioner on later, so he has all the information for you, the fans. So when you come tune in next time, the commissioner can literally say, this is what we're doing, this is the plan, this is the schedule, this is how we're going to interact. So there's a lot of stuff being thrown around on the message boards in the community. If we're not saying it's legit, or the commissioner's not posting it on the National Arena League website or any of the 6 organizations, then it's not legit. So rumors are rumors. That's what happens. But fast, swift action by the National Arena League today. You can tell that they were done with it and they protected their brand. And I respect that they protected the brand of arena football, especially here in the National Arena League. So with that, we can beat the drum more if we want, but we do have some more stuff to talk about.
There is more. Before I don't want to say beat. This isn't a beat the drum thing. This is more of a for any of our Empire folks. I know some of you might be going, well, wait a minute. We've seen it online. What happens with my tickets? What happens with my items?
Correct.
And MVP Arena did come out. They have been helping with a ton of ticketing this year in particular. And they do have a lot of command of the ticketing for the Empire season. If you are wondering about refunds about the season, because they have released their own statement that the remainder of the 2023 season for the Empire is officially over for them in the NAL, which it is, but it sounds like it's officially over, period, as of this time. Here's part of their press release they released earlier as we're recording on our day. All season individual ticket holders will be refunded for the remaining 3 home games. Refunds can be obtained at the original point of purchase. So wherever you bought it, just go there, start getting a request. Season tickets will be refunded to the original form of payment, and all individual ticket purchases online at Ticketmaster.com will be automatically refunded. If tickets were purchased in person at an MVP Arena box office, they must be returned to the box office to obtain a refund. Please allow up to 2 weeks for the refund to be applied to your account. Finally, Empire corporate partners should reach out to the Albany Empire ownership for information. That'll be its complete own separate thing, but got to give kudos to the MVP Arena. They were pretty quick also at bringing their own stuff because they've been doing a lot of the front work in terms of tickets and handling, I think, a lot of items this season for the Empire. I got to give them a lot of praise for sticking it out with their own ownership of that site there. This was a great put out. I mean, a lot of people have questions. So this was within a few hours after the press release. They had their own out about these refunds. That is a good job by an arena and a venue for getting that information to its people. It's a shame for Empire fans. Like that is it's the biggest loss today is everything associated that was good with it. The community, the players that did, take that chance on coming in, coaching staff, Mo Leggett getting his shot and, switching over, Pete Selly still sticking around and company. It's such a damn shame. That's really the one thing that comes at the end is you just, no matter how you feel about the ownership of the Empire, because there's a lot of people that have their own say on that. No matter how you feel about that, everything else loses in this deal. It was a deal of necessity, but it is everyone else loses is what's sad.
Yeah.
And I think the league knows that too. But this is the thing that they said. This is the best we have right now. We feel this is the best movement for their brand, like you said. It sucks massively for this community because it's a good arena football community. It's a deep history of a franchise, especially the Albany Empire brand, which
back-to-back champions.
Yeah, up until this year, it was the cream of the crop, top of the mountaintop for this sport. It's so damning to see that. And we'll see what the future holds in the capital region. Who knows? I mean, I have nothing to say that would like hint anything. I'm just saying I hope fans get another shot because there are damn good fans out there last year that I got to meet in person that I'm like, I can't believe these people won't have a team to rally behind because they sure as hell give their love for their local sports and their minor league sports out there. So it sucks. It really does suck. Is all.
Yeah, I feel for the fans. I feel for the community.
I truly, it hits me hard when a team closes down or gets removed, but there's always circumstances behind it. Of course, that nonetheless, it's terrible for the folks that actually come out and support and give their all for the thing they enjoy in a niche sport that we have too, of all things. It sucks. I hate it. I really do hate it, but we have to move on. If you're an Empire fan on here and you want to keep and you're following along with us, we appreciate it. We have a ton of folks in our Discord that are Empire fans that I think we can call you guys friends at this point. And hey, if anything, come on and enjoy the ride with us for arena football. We'll invite you onto fandoms, onto fan bases still, give us a chat because I would hate to not talk with you guys because the team gets kicked out. Simple as that. So anyhow, let's talk about games that you guys might be watching, and let's talk about games that we're going to be jumping into because we got to focus on the future at this point. I know it's a lot of news, but that is the case. We do have to move on.
Yep.
And move on we shall. Diving into Week 11 here, get into some of the polling and media access, if you will, about the league. What have we thought this week about the rankings in the National Arena League of the remaining 6 teams in the NAL? We did get all votes in, and as you can see, a slight bit of shuffling from this past week. Not too much. It's still pretty standard for the top 4. Preds definitely are jumping up 1. Warbirds now sink down to 6. First place votes still top 2. Sharks getting 8 of those. Gunslingers getting 2. Any other notes? It's besides the movement between the Preds and Warbirds, not really much I can add on besides that.
No, just the Predators moving up. They gained some votes in the power rankings or the polls. The Cobras got the most second place votes this week. Unfortunately, they're third. And it's saying that just tells you the 2 first place votes that the Gunslingers got them over to the second position in the poll. And I think that's because of the performance that Carolina had at West Texas last week. But overall, for the people who are listening to the podcast, Sharks stay at number 1 in the media poll. Number 2 is the Gunslingers. Number 3 is the Carolina Cobras. 4 is the Stangs. 5 is the Predators, and the 6 is the Warbirds to wrap up Week 10, entering Week 11's media poll. So, again, it really not a lot of movement it's more of showing the signs of the top 3 teams are still pulling away from the pack. Um, but yeah, as of right now, the polls really don't show how competitive this league is right now. And when you look at the records, you even look at it, go, well, that doesn't look really competitive, but it is. It's so far, it's been a very competitive season, and the polls, polls and standings, they're 2-2, one in the bush. They go in and out, but it,
Something
yeah,
phrase that's been said.
something, yeah. But also some positive news, my friend, and to the people who are listening. We're not making a big deal about this, but this is on the day of the airing. This is our second anniversary. 2 years ago, on this day in 2021, me and Zach decide, why not the heck? Let's get a podcast going on for covering arena football and the National Arena League. And it's been 2 years, 2 great years. And who knew? In 2 years, that will be the official podcast of the National Arena League, and talking about this as the spokesman. We could say we kind of spokesmen of the league almost, but uh, as for me, I just want to say thank you to our listeners, to our supporters, to the owners, to the commissioner, to the National Arena League for giving us this opportunity, and especially to our fans who constantly bug us on social media. We love the annoyance. We don't know. We may go aggravated, but we appreciate the love and respect that you guys have given us over the years. And thank you for going to our Twitter account, our Facebook accounts, our Instagram accounts, following us, liking us, subscribing to us. Each like, each view, it's a pleasure. We're very humbled because our very first episode, I remember sending text. I still have the text, by the way. I saw it. Uh, we got 15 downloads in our first episode, and I was ecstatic. I'm like, oh my God, we got 15 downloads. We're now averaging because of Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, we're now averaging over 400 people per episode. We went from 15 to 400, and that's because of you, our listeners, from Texas to New York to Miami, or Miami, Florida, whatever. Yeah, let's go to Miami. Let's do Miami, all right?
Let's go to
No,
Miami.
Florida, Georgia, and of course, because of our reach, earlier this year, we have reached all 50 states who have at least downloaded one of our episodes, and 2 provinces in Canada. So that's a win-win for me. And again, I just want to say thank you to our fans and our listeners for the 2 years. And thank you, Zach, for joining me and tagging team this podcast that we thought was just going to be a little fun thing to do. And we turned out to be a go-to source for information for the National Arena League. So you, sir, happy anniversary.
It's been a pleasure so far.
Yeah.
2 years in, many more to go is how I envision it. And
Yes.
we still are only just getting started. Much more
Correct.
ahead for the Inside the Walls podcast, and you guys have a
Absolutely.
lot to play into it, and so does the National Arena League and the support we get from those in the NAL across all its teams too. It's been a thrill. Love doing a good podcast. Love getting to talk with folks that love the game as much as we do, and we've got so much more to give, including Week 11 that we're going to be giving a lot
Yes.
more of our analysis towards. Whether you like it or not, that's another story. You can let us know. We'll gladly listen. Maybe we respond, maybe we don't. Who knows? But otherwise, we got to give our thoughts and takes. It is Week 11 in the National Arena League. We got 2 games coming up this week. 2 big ones on the docket, and 2 of them that, quite frankly, I think that you can have some fun, entertaining football on a Saturday night, that you can flip those 2 games on, 7 o'clock Eastern for both, by the way. Or sorry, yes, 7 o'clock Eastern, because one of them 6 Central that is put on the website. Yes. So 7 p.m., go on YouTube. You can double screen it like we do on our own end with myself, our buddies Ralph, Phil, and company.
They'll be
Ducon jumps
working.
on sometimes too. Well, again, I bring up the usual suspects. I'm not
Yeah.
saying they're going to be there, but
We can annoy. Can we annoy him? We can annoy him this week, can't we? We could be one of those fans on the YouTube. You guys.
Well, Ralph, he's God bless him, because he jumps in and he is razor focused. Once it's game time, nothing phases him. He sticks away from everything until the end, until the final whistle in the fourth quarter. So you won't be able to rattle him that way, because he does have to work. He is the play-by-play after all.
He is the play-by-play, and Phil's going to be the color this week. So
no sitting there taking notes. But no, 7 o'clock Eastern time for both. If you're in San Antonio, that's 6 p.m. Central, your time, if you want to go to the game. In Orlando, 7 o'clock Eastern, if you want to go to those. Both those should be pretty good crowds, rowdy crowds for both of them. Can't wait to see that as we're going to dive in and take a discussion. As you guys know, Game of the Week sits last, so we jump in first to Carolina, sticking on a road trip 2 weeks in a row. This time they come a little bit closer home, but they got to go to Central Florida to take on the Orlando Predators, who, as much as they're coming off a dominant win that they'll be tacking on, which, again, we'll be figuring out the semantics of how that win plays in to the rest of the year, as you may recall, they will be dealing with their own issues once again at quarterback. And unfortunate circumstances we talk about, Jonathan Bain looking like out for the year right now, and a severe injury that still we're definitely, any updates we've heard, we'll get. But again, positive movement in terms of like successful surgery and everything. It's just that it's a damn shame he will not be on the turf. However, you're still going to see a veteran name out there. The Preds did pick up, announcing on the transactions wire this week, that veteran Danny Southwick, who, as I think Jim best described, is the Ryan Fitzpatrick of the arena scene, is taking the reins in Orlando. He will be suiting up and leading that talented roster, which is fascinating because, again, journeyman QB, a lot of talent surrounding him, but as we've talked, it's 1 week of practice. So, going to have to get things in sync and adjust the offense as needed for someone that's coming in on short notice as well. Meanwhile, though, the Preds, I think, have a lot more things. As much as I want to say that they have a lot to focus on getting QB ready behind center, we're talking about a Cobras squad that just watched their starting quarterback, their guy that James Fuller's been working on now for the sum of pretty much 2 seasons at this point, throw a record 10 touchdowns last week against West Texas, and now gets to play an Orlando squad that is no stranger as well to allowing these 6-7 touchdown games, even with the roster that they have. Big challenge ahead for them. With a pretty talented receiver core to boot.
It's a big challenge. But they also have the reigning Defensive Player of the Week, Josh Jenkins, on their side.
They do.
So this is going to be a very star-studded offense. A lot of stars in this game if you're an arena fan. Both sides of the offense. You got Prince, you have Josh Jenkins, you have Clarence Williams, you have Lonnie Outlaw, then you have Nooney Murray, then you have Miles Kelly, you have Lance Evans, you have Adam Smith. You have the stars of the arena game in this game. Question is, it comes down to 2 guys. Danny Southwick, Joseph Hess versus Malik Henry. If Malik Henry plays like he did last week in this game, it could get ugly for Orlando. Because that offense last week in West Texas was kicking on all cylinders, and they just ran West Texas out of the building, even though West Texas scored almost 60 points. Still pretty impressive. But that's also the same thing that Orlando can be saying. It's like, hey. Yeah, they did score 89 points, but they did give up 60. That means we can move the ball on them too. And they got an experienced quarterback, Danny Southwick, who's been to every single arena team and known to mankind. Even the ones that were played in Jerusalem back when Jesus walked there. That's how long he's been in the game. He's been there forever.
Oh, man. Throwing the biblical references around. My God.
Coach Rezanalo said that it's not the list anymore. It's a sacred scroll, basically.
He did throw that one out there.
So
he got me with that one.
But it's experienced by Danny Southwick. He's been around the block. He's played in that building in Amway when he was playing with the Jacksonville Sharks a couple years ago and won in that building. The overall, I look at this game and there was going to be so much stipulations on this game today, especially what's going to happen in San Antonio, that it was a pivotal game for San Antonio for this one, even though they don't play in this game. Unfortunately, that's no longer an issue at this moment. I look at this game as a couple of key factors. Zach Brown, one of our loyal listeners, has been playing, let's say, a very underrated season. He's balling out, and he's not getting all the recognitions of Iron Man or offensive player. But when he gets the rock, he is running the ball solidly. And you know who else is having a good year that no one's talking about? Is Devin Maxwell. Very quietly, he's doing his thing. I look at this game and I see players, I'm like, roster by roster, offensive by offensive power, they match up with each position, both sides. Receiver for receiver, even DBs. You got Veal and you have Jenkins. Like, you can literally see this team and go, okay, well, let's look at Carolina. Well, they got Green, they got Veal. Let's look at Orlando. They got Fuentes, they got Jenkins. I'm like, this is an awesome matchup. And even though Danny has experience and Joseph Hess has, we've seen Joseph Hess go on the road and beat a team on the road in Jacksonville, who's a good team. He could start. Do I think Hess starts? I think so, but I won't be surprised if Danny Southwick starts either. They're just two. It depends on how the offense flows, who has a better, grasp of the offense, such short notice. Hopefully, I think they'll lean the Hess, and Danny would be like the backup, but I won't be surprised if Danny starts. But when I look at this game, I look at the offensive explosions of this team. Carolina has the second-rated offense in the NAL right now, right behind Jacksonville, but that number's getting close. Orlando has currently the last place defense in the NAL for giving up points and yardage. Mainly a lot of that's from earlier in the year, but it's number 2 versus number 6. Then Carolina has the third-rate defense taking on the fifth-rate offense in Orlando. So you look at the overall statistics, Carolina has the edge in that. Carolina also has a turnover advantage in that as well. They are third in the NAL, while Orlando is fifth in the NAL. Everything's pointing towards Carolina in this game. Everything. Especially the performance last week. Maybe that last week performance Carolina really bolsters up the numbers. It always those certain games where there's big blowout performances, they're like, eek, that little spike. That's what happens with stats. Even though I added a weird little sound effects in there. But
I mean, they did just drop 86.
86, yes.
It's largest scoring for any team this year for a single game. So
it's 750 some yards of total offense.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
It's eye popping. And the thing that drives me kind of nuts about it in a good way, not like I'm being upset that any team dropped 10 touchdown passes and all that. Get off my lawn. Stop scoring so much. You're slowing the game down. I thought this was only be 3 hours, which I will never complain about. Two teams going at it and doing 50 plus and going back and forth. That's the arena games I live for, by the way. So I will always invite scoring. But it's still staggering is, you're talking run game. That has been most of their bread and butter. Like Malik and company have been really good at doing it, saying, you know what, we'll get it down there and then we'll just bully you, or we'll just let our running backs take care of things. They did that a lot this past week. The more you get comfortable, hey, maybe the running backs, we don't have to lean on the running as much. If it's our identity, great, we can do that. But what if we don't need to do our identity? What if we got to just give it to Malik and just let him sling it? What if we keep trusting him more and more, which they have been. Not saying that that's not been happening, but you get Nyquan Murray fully healthy. Miles Kelly's getting better every week. He's been getting better at contributing like he used to. And then you still have Lance Evans and Adam Smith that have taken on extensive additional roles and have lived up to those roles like we talked about in the preseason, where we're going, can they take that extra work that they lost from Kendrick Ings and DJ Myers? And they did do it. They've been doing it. And now you got your QB who you can go, all right, slouches off a rough game, slings the rock in response. I think we're doing pretty good. Good. Got to feel great. I will say you make a fascinating point, because we have been talking about Danny Southwick with the Preds, but Joseph has been there, so you do have, as much as we are kind of on the fence on who might be there, because there is cases for both. because you got one that's a veteran, one that's much more greenhorn. But Hess has been with Ware longer. So
Yes.
that is an intriguing decision to make in a game like this with the Cobras coming to town, and you kind of want to steal. You do need to get every win now. So, man, that tough calls, because I mean, we've said a lot of good specialty players. Got to deliver the football to them though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this game could be two different types. It could be a one-sided blowout fair, or it can be a shootout. I'm expecting more of a shootout in this game than I guarantee a lot of people think it'll be more defensive because the quarterback question in Orlando. But Hess has, more experience with Damian Ware. Danny Southwick just coming in this week. So there could be an instance where you might see a different type of, shake up in the offense. But I think whoever the quarterback that gets everything down the quickest and fastest will be the guy to finish out the game as a starter. And Orlando can move forward, and especially to next week's games. But the key position I want people to watch in this game is the two big guys on Orlando's line. That is Brandon Cisse and Freddie Booth-Floyd. If they are successfully getting to the backfield and getting to Malik Henry and slowing down the game, Orlando has a great chance to win this game. I think Orlando's defensive line has to be the key factor in this game to pull off a win against Carolina.
It's funny. I might be giving kudos here and have to be like, oh, don't want to give too much because of what we gotten received. But if you are Orlando, take that Fayetteville film and take a look at what they did well. Hey, got pressure on the quarterback early. Hey, made people look uncomfortable real early. Hey, got into a quick lead. Now, credit, the quick lead comes if your offense is working effectively. You keep that in mind, which, I mean, the Cobras are going to make it damn sure in the secondary between Mike Green and Kenny Veal that you are going to have to be challenged. But on the opposite side, you do have pass rushers that are pretty efficient. I mean, Cisse, Freddie Booth-Lloyd, you blitz with Nick Hague. You got guys that can disrupt. So I'll give it that. So if they're all continuing on the progress of last week's matchup that they had in the jungle, they've got the home field on their side for the majority of the regular season, the rest of the seasons we've talked about. That is in play, but it's got to be common. You got to take Fayetteville's game film and you got to run that same formula. If you're James Fuller, you got to basically go to Malik and go, hey, you know what? You saw these last two games. You know how to play in tough situations like this. You know you can do this. And also might be coming in your face, but you can get out of there. You can find that right guy.
Yeah, and also if Orlando wants to be a playoff team, this is not a must-win, but a win here helps their case of competing for that 4 seed. So,
yeah. I mean that you ain't wrong.
No,
you ain't wrong. I think it's really going to come down. The Preds, we've had talks on talented across the board. Of course, it's been talent on paper, but I think defensively on paper more so. I've been waiting to see it rise up a little bit more. Offensively, it comes down a lot of times it's quarterback. You got to be able to deliver. You got to be able to get to these receivers. Defensively, though, last week it showed up. Now, credit weak opponent that's been doing a lot on the side with its roster, and it showed. This week, though, you got guys on paper. It's time to show up in the right moment. And we'll obviously make our picks about that, but that's going to be the most vital aspect, I think, is if you can find any way to steal possessions, slow the game down, get 4 and outs, or a pick. Jenkins and Delvin Randall, I know you two are very capable of taking over games when put to it. This is the perfect time to do it. At home, time to flip the script and rally behind as much as I hate to say it this way, rally behind one of your down comrades. You got something to play for, even more so.
Agreed.
So, lot at stake. Both games are fun this week, but I think the storylines there will definitely be impactful moving forward into the year. But yeah, can't wait for that one. That isn't our. It's funny we hyped up. Not our game of the week though, because the game of the week. Well, I mean, look, it's a team we've been having fun seeing. I think progressively get better in a lot of aspects, not only as a roster, but as an organization with the Warbirds. And the Gunslingers get to host at home for this week's Game of the Week, which, of course, we definitely got that preview video. Jim's got that on lock and ready to punch that bad boy in. You know it. So let's take a look at the Wild West Showdown coming to town in SA. So there you have it.
Yes.
Welcome aboard to the Wild West Showdown over in San Antonio. Should be a fun one, especially T-shirts giving out, the first 1,000 fans showing up. And that's where the name comes from, by the way, is that the Gunslingers have labeled it the Wild West Showdown, the two Texas squads facing off. This time, different place, same two opponents. Part 2. Part 1 was a pretty close affair. A little bit different roster at the time, but the Gunslingers made it a defensive effort and made things difficult. Or, sorry, the Warbirds made it difficult for the Gunslingers. Pardon my language, as you'll learn later on in one of our conversations here with Kevin Reynolds of the San Antonio Gunslingers we'll discuss. But, coming up, a little bit different roster this time around for the Warbirds. Gunslingers, have since then, I think, been humbled a little bit. They've been kind of, I think, trying to make sure, hey, stay the course, stay steady. You are still at the top of the league. You're number 1 seeded still and are in a good spot with home games for the majority of your final stretch down the line. And now you get to play West Texas in your own building. But again, we'll talk. And I know, like I said, we got that Kevin Reynolds interview we've been hinting at. They know that this is going to be a hard out for with the Warbirds, because the Warbirds have been making themselves known that they will not be an easily denied team anymore. The project car has slowly come close to the finished product. It's not all the way there, but it definitely makes you notice now. You definitely turn and have a side eye and go, okay, I see what's going on now. We've got to be on alert. We know that they are ready and available to possibly upset us if we are on our heels or not fully awake and alert if need be.
Well, San Antonio needs to come in here, focus, and concentrate on West Texas and West Texas alone. Don't worry about anything outside of the arena besides West Texas. They already have pressure right now with the Jacksonville Sharks right behind them, only a half a game. And if Carolina does win in Orlando, they're back at 6-2, same record as Jacksonville, and they'll be a half a game behind. They'll be half a game behind San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
But if San Antonio wins, they stay that game ahead of Carolina. So and Jacksonville, they get the win, they get the half game. But if they slip up, Carolina win, and then Jacksonville having a bye week, we have a three-way tie for first. And that three-way tie, Jacksonville gets the three-way tie because at the tiebreaker for San Antonio, and San Antonio has a tiebreaker over Carolina. That's how close these three teams are. So for San Antonio, it's like what Reynolds said in his interview, which we'll play here pretty soon. It's a 1-0 mentality, 24-hour rule. We know what West Texas is. They gave us a scare. They gave us a run for their money, and they're coming to our house. So I look at the San Antonio team. They had a week off. They had a week to prepare for West Texas. And I don't think San Antonio is that type of team that's going to look over West Texas because they know they have pressure behind them. They know they slip up once, and Jacksonville's right there. They know it's going to be a dogfight for the rest of the year to see who gets that one. They keep getting that win, they stay ahead, and it puts a risk on Jacksonville or Carolina for them to make the mistake to fall back in the standing some. So, pivotal game. But unlike the first matchup in Odessa, there's a certain quarterback that's playing for West Texas right now that wasn't with West Texas the first matchup. Daniel Smith was the quarterback in the first matchup. This matchup is Mitch Kidd. Since Mitch Kidd has been in West Texas offense has increased their scoring by an average of 13 and a half points a game since he's been as a quarterback. That tells me that the offense with Smith and Childress are starting to connect, starting to pop. And Mitch Kidd has learned, well, not learned. When he first came back in the league against Orlando, you could tell that he was a vet. He understands the pocket. The pocket collapse, he moves around to make sure he get the extra seconds to get the receivers open so he can hit plays downfield. That's what Daniel Smith couldn't do the first time around. And one thing that we noticed from San Antonio, they struggle against mobile quarterbacks. Sam Castronova was that mobile quarterback. He moved around a lot in the pocket. It means he wasn't scrambling. He was making that extra one or two steps to the right and left, getting that extra time to get the receivers open. Mitch Kidd is that same style of quarterback. He can move, but he's not going to run. He does have scrambling ability, but he's not going to be a Michael Vick type or a Lamar Jackson type quarterback. He's not just going to, tuck the ball and run. He's going to wait to try and get his receivers open. This game is so pivotal on the defensive line for San Antonio. Justin Alexander needs to have a big-time game. If he can get in the backfield and disrupt Mitch Kidd, and Mitch Kidd cannot get his, that pocket feeling or get used to the pocket, disrupt it, then yes, big advantage for San Antonio. If they can't get to Mitch Kidd and he's sent back there, and even though they lost last week, they scored almost 60 points because, again, arena football is so an odd sport where you can score 60 points and still lose by 20. It's a weird sport. Just saying.
Some teams, I mean, this is in any sport too. Some teams just are on a different level or wavelength. I think
Carolina
they just caught a team. They really just caught the Cobras at a different wavelength.
But overall, this game is pivotal for San Antonio and for West Texas. Like I mentioned about Orlando, a win by Orlando gets them back in the mix. A win by West Texas gets them right back in the mix for that 4 seed. Be very intriguing. The battle of the 4 is going to be very entertaining all the way to the end of the year. I have the feeling. But here's a battle that I want you, the fans out there, to watch. Drew Pearson versus Weber. Weber hit 3 deuces. Weber set a record for the longest field goal made in NAL history. He hit a 56-yard kick. That's impressive, by the way. Very impressive. It's very hard to hit that kick in the NFL or an outdoor game. But in the arena game, that's very impressive. one of the things in this matchup, Drew Pearson hit a deuce in his last game. Weber's hitting deuces. Deuces will be crucial. And the Freeman Coliseum is notoriously known to have problems for kickers. They must know how to do a draw or a fade to get around that scoreboard. It's going to be a unique battle there. But also we have other unique battles that we're going to see. Battle between the 5'7" receivers of Childress and Kali Rashad. Smith versus Philip Barnett. Reynolds. Arvell versus Mitch Kidd. And one of my favorite battles I like to see this week, Pierre Turner versus don't be the jack out of the box, Trayvon Schwartz. That's because that's you. You always say that. It's like so, but still, I think this is an intriguing matchup, and I have a feeling that even though San Antonio may not look at it this way, even though West Texas may not seem like this team, but West Texas is kind of getting this game on fire, meaning their offense is clicking. They just need to find a way to get one or two stops, and they'll be on the other end of these games than what they were the previous 2 weeks. Now, for San Antonio, the offensive numbers have started to go down a little bit. We've seen via stats. This is not me making assumptions, via stats. Well, 2 weeks ago, they were the 4th-ranked offense. Now they are the 5th-ranked offense based on stats. So they're kind of dipped, but the points are still there. You can score. I mean, yardage is so different. It's so hard to judge a team by the yardage because some team may only have, we only had 300 yards of offense, but our average starting field positions are our opponent's freaking 12-yard line or 14-yard line. So you have a shorter field. So that those numbers can be changed. But San Antonio is home. They're in their home building. They got a great theme night going on this week. Make some noise. So I guarantee people are going to be there packed. I know there's BOGO deals going on. So if you're in San Antonio and you want to avoid that website that gets you with those fees, call the ticket office at Freeman. Get your tickets there. That's how you do it. Trust me, they'll help you. Every team in the league can help you if you do that. Go pack out this building. Even though the record of West Texas doesn't show it, they are a dangerous team, and they have an offense that can score some points. So San Antonio has to play their A game. If San Antonio plays their C game and West Texas plays that type of game where they played in Orlando, West Texas comes into San Antonio and gets the win. That's how close this game. And for San Antonio, these games are big now. Very big, especially for the events that happened today in the National Arena League. These games are pivotal now. Get a win, keep ahead. The pressure's there, but if you lose, the pressure's really there.
Very.
Could be possibly a 3-way tie. But if you're in San Antonio, get your tickets now. It's going to be a great game.
Turning up the heat in Freeman Coliseum for both of these squads. Both of the two, I think, have very much reasons to play for. The home team definitely wanting to stick ahead in the standings without a doubt, solidify themselves with a full game ahead if they can. West Texas, similar deal as Orlando. You're going to see more. I think you're going to keep seeing both of these teams get more desperate. The low in the standings, you need to start pulling out all the stops. So, West Texas is, of course, no slouch, as we've said. Talents have been showing up, and they've been getting much better as the season's gone on, all things considered, through adjustments, through everything, without a doubt. We'll give you our picks on the other side. However, as we've been hinting at, we got an interview to get to, ladies and gentlemen, and we got a true rookie in the NAL. Now, this is what you'll hear us at the beginning of this interview, to clarify, because as many of you know that are veterans of this sport, there's rookies in your league, and there's rookies in the actual sport of arena and indoor football. Kevin Reynolds is a rookie in the sport. So we get to talk to a true rookie and his experiences with his first half of a season in the National Arena League. Talks about the San Antonio Gunslingers, the culture there, you name it, all good vibes around all San Antonio, and all great buildup to this Wild West showdown coming up on Saturday night. Take a listen, everyone, right now with us sitting down with receiver defensive back Kevin Reynolds. And welcome everybody into our latest edition of our Inside the Walls interview series as we've been going on, bringing you, of course, latest players, coaches all across the league that we have been having the joy to sit down and talk with. Every once in a while, as we've seen with the NAL, you got a lot of veteran players, a lot of guys that are the NAL and arena types. We do get new fresh blood every year that comes in and tries out the arena scene for the first time. And we get to bring in somebody that not only is new to the game, but now gets to be brought into a very much anticipated game of the week between two Texas teams, with the newest one coming to town in part 2 of their series this season. We are joined by receiver, defensive back, Ironman player, if you want to call himself now, Ironman veteran. He's got a little bit under his wings now through this year. Kevin Reynolds joining us from the San Antonio Gunslingers over there in West Central Texas. How you doing, Kevin? Again, first season, getting yourself kind of used to some things in the 50-yard game, dasher boards and the like. How you liking it so far?
First, I want to give all glory and praise to God himself, because I wouldn't be here without him. But so far, it's been good. It's been a blessing, like I said, being under a veteran quarterback like Arvell Nelson, having a veteran group of receivers around me, being the youngest guy or one of the youngest guys on the team. So having guys like Brian Robinson and Khalid Rashad and other players that's been around for a while take me under their wing on, off, and off the field has been a real blessing being here. So I was blessed with this opportunity to play for this team specifically.
Yeah, I think if you're in your situation where you are, and we clarify this to be sure, because as we know, rookie's designation for arena, that can mean you're new to the league, or that can also mean you are new to the sport. So I had to make doubly sure when we were researching having you on that we're not just stepping in and saying, "Oh, I've been outside and done this before." It's like, "Oh, well, great." But no, we made sure to confirm with you, and it's excellent that you are on a squad for yourself that on both sides, because you're playing Iron Man. You're not the specialist in this system. So you get to talk with all NAL talents that are on both sides of the ball. You get to learn from some good guys to kick things off. That's great.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to, and if you enjoy and keep playing in this league or in other leagues, you get straight up that talent skill set. That's really good quality people. Like you talked right out of the bat. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yep. It's also being able to pass down the game, that I've learned from them in games, things that I've learned on my own playing over time, I'll be able to pass it down too. So it's just nuggets, you just keep passing the torch down until, the fire die out, and hopefully it don't. So.
Yeah.
Kevin, how was your recruiting getting to the game? What brought you to the arena game? Who someone reach out to you, or was you just an opportunities like, I want to test this out. I never played arena ball. I want to test this out, see if I can get filmed to go to other leagues.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. I was fresh out of college. I graduated. I did my pro day and everything. I had some unfortunate situations happen my senior year that kind of limited the way I was able to play and stuff like that. So coming out of college, I had a lot of interest, but not too many people actually willing to pull a trigger due to my circumstances my senior year. So I was doing a lot of CFL tryouts, XFL tryouts, and stuff like that. And I was getting some attention, some interest, but I never really had anybody to take the bait. So Coach Shaw gave me an opportunity. I reached out to him. Me and my agent reached out via Instagram, and he hit me back right almost the next day and said, come out to the San Antonio for the tryout. I went out there in January, and I did my thing, and the rest was history, from there. So I knew right away after the trial, he said, "Yeah, you're gonna be ready for camp." So I knew I was gonna have to adjust and stuff like that, but it was a major adjustment once I got in the actual arena itself.
I was gonna say that it's a 50-yard field, 100-yard field. That's quite an adjustment to get.
I thought it was gonna be easy. I got in there between the walls. I was like, this is different.
So you play the Ironman role, some receiver and some DB. Congratulations on getting your first touchdown catch this past week.
Appreciate that.
Was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. We just came off a bye week.
Big step, though. That's a good achievement to have for you.
Yeah.
The weeks are all getting blended together
Yeah,
now. I don't know if it's
a lot
last
going
week or
on,
2
too.
weeks.
That don't help.
But we've talked to DBs, we've talked to quarterbacks, we've talked to wide receivers. You played both DB and wide receiver so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Walls. how do you treat them? Do you treat them as a friend or treat them as enemies? Like, I don't want to hit you, but at the same
See,
time, I want to use you to help me. How does that go
it's
through
a
your mind?
love-hate relationship.
I was scared.
It's a love-hate relationship because there's times where, you know, I'm out of control running after a ball and I hit that wall and it's like that wall don't move. It's not budging. But then there's times where I got to put somebody on the wall and, they feel it before I feel it. So it's a love-hate relationship. It just depends on what side of the fence they decide to be on. So, but I definitely was scared of it. I didn't want anything where I got to stretch out and I feel like the wall is close. I was like, I'm starting to tiptoe a little bit, but I'm used to it now.
Yeah, that's what when we ever talk with vets on this show, that's one thing. Like you talk similar deal where like when you start out, it is kind of a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like I imagine like guys like for example Phil Barnett, talk about a dude that's been through a lot in particular, and sure we can talk Khalil as well. But I mean Barnett's a bigger guy that he's more go up and get a physical receiver on your squad, and it very much is one that I imagine is once you know it's there, you can take that lick, but just focus on the ball.
Yeah.
If you're on the receiving end.
I forgot.
Otherwise, use it to your advantage if you're on the defensive end.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, by all means, that's another tackler right there. Just
I forgot about Phil. Shout out Phil, man. I actually steal some of his techniques when I run my route. So shout out Phil. I'll definitely be in his bag when it come down to certain things too. Yeah, Phil's a good one too. I forgot about Phil. He's so quiet and chill. He's easy to fly under the radar.
Without a doubt. I got to ask you too. Have you? So this is Iron Man. Obviously, we haven't even asked this first. Have you played like both positions before? Some folks have coming up when they're younger.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you done both, or have you been more one or the other since you've been playing coming up into pro?
I'm predominantly a receiver. If you ask me what do I want to play, I'm gonna say receiver. But I played DB as well coming up, all the way up until like my senior year of high school. My freshman year of college, I was getting pushed to go play DB, but I was like, I want to score touchdowns. I want to dance. I want to be, pretty boy.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I like receiver. But if the coach tell me go play DB, I'm going out there. Do whatever I got to do.
For me, I got to ask you. So, for obviously getting recruited, I think you made a perfect example of showing any route is available. You just got to be hungry and kind of active with this level to kind of get yourself name recognition. We know Coach Shaw when we've watched. We haven't gotten a chance to talk to them. We really got to get that, Jim, at some point. But as we know, and especially the folks over on Smoking Guns podcast who do the official one for the San Antonio Gunslingers know, one of the most intense coaches in the league from what we've seen on sideline or when we've talked about off field. How do you describe Coach Shaw for yourself as at least a mentor, someone that's helping you get into this?
Coach Shaw is a man that he demands your best. He's not going to allow you to go out there and be lackadaisical and relax and stuff like that. If you see something in you, he's going to get it out you. So what you see on the sideline is what you see. That's what you get. That's him. He's cool, He's cool. Don't get me wrong. He's a player's coach. He's cool to talk to outside of football and stuff like that. But inside them walls, it's time to lock in. It's time to get. That's when the intensity come in, And we feed off that because being he's a younger coach and stuff like that. We feed off his energy and stuff. So we need we kind of balance each other out, in terms of the team and having Coach Shaw around the energy. We feed off each other, so it works out real well with having him as a coach and stuff like that. He definitely one of my best coaches I've had in my football career. From Little League all the way to now. I can say that without a shadow of doubt in my mind.
One thing we've noticed from Coach Shaw is that every single post-game, pre-game, or radio show he's been on, he preaches the family aspect of the San Antonio Gunslingers and the 1-0 mentality. Excuse me, speak English. The 1-0 mentality each week. Is that just the overall culture of San Antonio that he's preaching on to the team, or is that just the embodiment of the San Antonio Gunslingers for 2023?
I think that is something that we're trying to cultivate into San Antonio starting this year. San Antonio doesn't really have. We have the XFL, the Brahmas. They didn't have too well of a season, so we're kind of like the hot seat right now in terms of football in San Antonio. So I feel like the city is kind of, starting to figure out who we are as a team, as an organization, the league in general. So we're just trying to build a brand and and build an identity for the fans to cling on to. So that 1-0 mentality is letting it be known that, you know, no matter what happened last week, win or lose, we forgetting about that. We're on to the next one and the next one and the next one. That's just what we're going. That's just the mindset we have every week. Never get too comfortable. Never get too high, too low. Never get complacent. Stay hungry and stay ready.
I'm glad you brought that up about the XFL. We don't talk about competition in city as much with this. A lot of the times it's about making sure we're kind of like focusing on competing on more marketing. We don't think about those outside factors, but this is a good point. You know, if you have followed the XFL this year, you know, a lot more bigger exposure, but not as good of a team. And there's a lot of crossover with some of your fandom that I've seen with you guys. There's a lot of good. Jorge Mata is like the face of the Brahmas, and he is one of the main like diehard fans of the Gunslingers outside of this as well. Besides plenty of other characters too that have been around the San Antonio scene. I mean, it's again, you mentioned, I reiterate, that's good to have a squad this good 2 years in. Marketing's great for the Gunslingers. You know, you aren't kidding. Hitting the iron while it's hot if you want to get some leg up in what is competitive. Because it's, I mean, XFL, multi-million-dollar, you know, organization. The NAL to us is a bigger league because we're fans of the NAL.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of sports, it ain't that level.
Right,
but
right.
You know, you're still making an impact having to have competitiveness in that level.
And then a lot of us I wouldn't say a lot of us, but some of the younger guys on the team and around the league, I'm sure we're trying to shoot up to the next, you know, to the next level. So that's probably the next step for a lot of us in the league, around the league, is the XFL. So yeah, competing with them is kind of humbling, but at the same time, we know, you know, that's where we want to be at. So we just got to keep working and stuff like that. We actually went to an XFL game when we first came down before camp.
Yes, they did post, or you guys did get posted about that via the social media team, and did get to check it out, which is great. You know, I think even if we're talking competition, like it's still local sports, and that's a good local connection to have, one in hand. I mean, for crying out loud, one of your best defensive linemen was playing for the Brahmas to kick things off at the beginning of the season anyway. And comes back and now is doing what he was doing last year in Justin Alexander, and just being a game wrecker on the edge rush.
Yeah, he shuts down offenses quick. He's a weapon for sure.
Kevin, let's get into the conversation for this week. You're playing West Texas the second time. A couple of weeks ago, you went all the way out in Odessa. Texas is a big state. That must be still a long road trip.
14 hours.
That is a long road trip on our book. You
could say West Texas fought you guys to the very, very end.
Yeah, they did.
And it came down to the last play of the game, and you guys got the stop. Now they're coming back. They just got off of a loss against Carolina, but their offense seems like it's, you know, has awoken a little bit, scoring 59 points. How are you guys preparing for this week in practice for a Mitch Kidd offense-led team that's very explosive? They look like they're finding themselves. Now they're coming into the Freeman, taking on you guys. What was the preparation like to prepare for, you know, that offense?
I wouldn't say we did anything too different. Like I said, we kind of have the 1-0 mentality, but at the same time, we don't take anybody lightly. We respect all our opponents, and we know that with us being the top team in the league right now, record-wise, everybody's coming in with a chip on their shoulder, throwing their best at us. So we just, you know, we practice hard against each other, good on good. We iron sharpen iron at practice, and we just carry that over into Saturday and just, you know, throw our best gun out there and shoot, you know, see who runs out of bullets first. That's the best way I could put it, because we can't shy away from competition, and at the same time we got to respect it too. So,
and also there's a certain mascot out west that is, you know, calling you guys the Gunslingers this weekend again. And I joked, I was joking with someone from San Antonio, one Smoking Guns podcast, Phil, the host of that's like, you know what, this is a great opportunity for San Antonio to do a hot dog sale or something like that for the Gunslingers. That's like, it would have been perfect for this game. And he's like, that'd be pretty cool. But they're trying, like we're trying, San Antonio's trying, West Texas is trying to make this the next rivalry in the NAL with the Wild West Showdown. As a player, is that just more like just noise, or is that just this is a bigger game? We got to focus on because it's an in-state opponent, and you could technically say they're a rival because they're in-state, or you just take it as a normal Week 11 football game.
I say we take it as like a regular game. We don't really try to put too much pressure on ourselves, going into it because, you want to stay relaxed and loose. So we just look at it as another game, but we do also know that, these guys aren't to be taken lightly and that we need to be on our best and make sure that we're polished on all levels, defensively, and special teams, because these guys are coming with the chip on their shoulder, like I said. So we know to stay diligent, stay prepared for anything and everything. Because, like I said, West Texas is a good team. They're not not no pushovers. As you can see, we had trouble with them last time we played them. So we know this time we got to be firing on all the chords.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean they're what we would call, I would say you can call them scrappy, call them, wouldn't call them easy out. At least
hard out, yeah.
Yeah, the hard out, that would be a better way of putting it. I was gonna say
really no
out,
team in the NAL is an easy win, to be honest with you. Every team that we've played they've thrown their best at us. So yeah, we just know, we got to be ready. So we prepare the best way we can and go out there and fire our best shots.
Mm-hmm. Oh, without a doubt. And luckily, you guys, that's one thing that's a benefit back end of the schedule. A lot more home games to play in Freeman. Yeah. Got that good crowd behind you. Yeah. Got the cowbells, which have been carrying over since last year. That people held on to those things tight like a coin purse. They do not. They bring them every game.
We got the cowbells and the blowhorns.
That's like a West Texas thing now. That's what's funny. Yeah. The more West Texas has gotten ingrained in the league, it's now that they've taken almost like the soccer approach.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
The horn in the crowd.
It sounds like we're watching a World Cup game.
Actually, or Kevin, you may know, because the CFL, they do a similar deal. Like a lot of the crowds, they'll do the blowhorns.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do the same thing. There's run the whole game. I'm like, man, what is that?
Your team is on offense. Don't care.
It's on media timeout, bro. There's nobody playing right now. You don't have to go to home.
Bro, please. My ears.
That's all you hear.
This
all
is indoors. It doesn't dissipate. It reflects.
Yeah, man. It's good energy, though. I appreciate the fans, and we need more. We need San Antonio to come out even more, man. We're trying to pack out the Freeman. I appreciate the fans and the energy they bring, though, because we definitely feed off of them for sure. Especially defensively when we need those stops. Yeah, they turn us up. They make that noise. They blow them blowhorns. They bring them cowbells, and I could feel the energy shift, especially when we actually do get the stop.
I know that you guys, a lot of players and the Gunslingers are very active in the community. Have you ever been to San Antonio until this year, or out this way in the country?
See, I said I didn't, but my mom was like, "Yes, you have." So apparently I have. I don't remember. She said I have. I said my mama knows best. So I'm sure I have way back when. I just don't remember. But I'm a history man. I got my degree in history, so I know all about San Antonio, the Alamo, David Crockett, all that stuff. So it was interesting when I first got here. I went straight to the Riverwalk to go see, the historical landmarks. I haven't gotten to the Alamo yet. I'm saving that for a special occasion. But
they say the Riverwalk's a place to go, though, in San Antonio, right?
Yeah, that is. That's the tourist attraction for sure. That was the
might
first
be a
place
location that means Zach may have to be in championship weekend than the Riverwalk in San Antonio.
Yep. Hopefully we can bring it back here. That's what we hoping for.
I would say I've been to the Riverwalk one time in my life in San Antonio, and that would be the perfect excuse to go back because I completely understand. I've seen some folks joke, "Oh, it's just like no joke." When this is kind of bear with me with the story, NBA related. You hear folks talk about the Nuggets and all that, and someone brought up the Spurs back in the day, and about, oh, what's in San Antonio? Oh, there's the Riverwalk. Someone brought that up like as a cliche. Oh, it's just the Riverwalk. I'm like, you don't understand. That is a beautiful part of town to go to. That is its own massive thing. Don't throw this around like it's just some random piece of the city. Yeah.
And then the river is huge. I walked it. I was like, Jesus. Like, I didn't realize I was still walking along the river. I was like, all right, let me find out where I need to go back to get to my car. I'm about to be on the other side of San Antonio. It's so big.
It is massive. You got me wanting to go back for that. Alma, Texas barbecue. I mean, hey, or any Mexican over there. You got to do out here with the Gunslingers moving on. I mean, again, first touchdown, more things ahead for you, obviously, but it's about the team, as you've been saying. Anything else you're looking at for the rest of the year? I think you laid out a pretty good path, but I mean, just in case we miss any intangibles, obviously, love to hear any of your thoughts about, what else you're looking for in your rookie season now that you're over halfway through it.
I'm looking forward to seeing where the season takes us, because so far I'm feeling real good about everything. I'm a little superstitious. I don't want to speak too much on what our goals and aspirations are, which I feel like is pretty obvious for each team in this organization, in this league. So, but I feel real good about everything. Like I said, I have my own personal goals and aspirations I want to achieve, but overall the bigger picture is I want to walk away with a ring. So, because that'll take care of a lot of things personally. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is getting in the playoff atmosphere, and hopefully carrying that over to the championship, bringing it back so you guys have a reason to come to that Riverwalk.
That's true.
I love it. I love the thought there.
I've asked this to other San Antonio players, and I forgot to ask it to Arvell earlier this year, but I did Kylie Rashad. Morning time, are you a breakfast taco person? Because San Antonio apparently is famous for breakfast tacos.
I'm not a breakfast taco person.
Wow.
If I'm eating breakfast, I'm real big on breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
If I wake up at 12 p.m., I have to eat breakfast. If I wake up at 3 p.m., I have to eat breakfast. But if I eat breakfast to me is pancakes and eggs and sausage, cereal, anything sweet, waffles, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I eat a taco, it has to be around lunch, even if it's a breakfast taco. I eat a breakfast taco around lunch. But the word taco makes me feel like lunch and dinner. I don't know.
That was my last question, so yeah.
I can't get myself to eat a breakfast taco.
You remind me of one of my buddies up in Chicago that it's we have discussions about times for breakfast, lunch. I'm the McDonald's guy where it hits 11 and I'm like, no, breakfast is over. I got to cut it off. Time to go to lunch.
Nope, it still says 11 a.m. a.m. That means breakfast.
You told me that too.
a.m. means breakfast.
Kevin, you've been great, man. Glad we got to chat with you, man. It's been a great conversation to be on here with you. Best of luck here with the Wild West Showdown coming to town this weekend. Should be a really good matchup. One of the two this weekend in the National Arena League. Both will be great, but that one, without a doubt, is game of the week. We'll be tuning in, no doubt, given that extra bit of attention, if you will. Good to have you on to preview it and get to talk about just having a rookie in the league. Like I said, it's not all the time, but it's unique to have someone when we get to chat about their first times coming in.
Yep. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. I appreciate it for real. It's been a fun season so far. So I look forward to what the future holds.
Same with you. Catch you on the flip, Kevin.
Already.
What a night, feel like I'm 22. You know I'm 305, got it on my body. I got everybody in a job. Somebody hit the light camera, let me improvise. Can I get a hallelujah? More moolah, more peace for my medulla. The whole crew up, yeah. Louis Prada, Dundada, top flow, come take a ride up with the rider. I came up from the bottom. You have no idea. You can't sweat through my story. Write my name in his story. Oh, what a night, yeah. Sing it, almost had me down, came back to life. Hell yeah, right. Who's gonna stop me now? Oh, what a night, yeah. Sing it, I can't even lie. What a time to be alive. Drinks in the sky, that's
Ever so closer to the NAL championship. We're going to keep on rolling that way with your teasers because, hey, that's not too much farther down now. Big old game right around the corner. Big playoffs coming up. We bring it up because over halfway through the season now, so you have to keep focus. 57 days away. NAL championship coming this August. keep in tune with us for more of your details on what might lie ahead. And of course, watch these games too to keep yourself informed of what lies ahead as well. Because as we're seeing, as we of course we've hinted and talked about in this interview, Gunslingers 6-1, sitting still nice and pretty right at the top. It obviously had that blowout loss to the Sharks, but other than that, business as usual. 1-0 weeks. Fred Shaw very focused as he is as a coach and a player's coach, as Kevin described. We definitely have been saying that he has been doing an excellent job so far in his short tenure with the San Antonio Gunslingers. And year 2, it's been proving it. They've been building on it just like they did at the end of last year. It's good times ahead.
Great. So, Pickem.
Pickem time, baby.
Let's go. Woo.
Let's roll. It's Pickem's time. Here we go. I said Pickem's weird. It's Pickem time, baby. There's no plural there. English, as we say on the show. It needs to be. We need to do better at actually using our grammar and punctuations. Anyhow, let's talk football, which does include us talking and making sure we say this right. Here's the deal. Last week, we'd gotten off by a game. We were seeing if we could kind of tie things up. I was wondering if Jim and I were going to match picks. We did not. The West Texas game, you might remember. Jim picked West Texas. He saw that upset on the wall. Now, I'm not bragging. And here's the thing. I wouldn't have, neither of us projected an 86-point game. We're not even going to go there. No. But I definitely took on my own. They got off the mat. They played their part. I went 3-0. Still a tight battle till the end of the year in our own pick'ems outside of this too. But yeah, you never know with the NAL. Things can swing one way or another. There's 6 competitive teams in this league. We got 4 of them playing on Saturday night in primetime hours on YouTube. Kicking things off, though, first of the 2, Cobras visiting the jungle to take on the Orlando Predators. I'm slowly going to get better at being the PA announcer in Orlando because I want to be that level of energy. That man is a different level. I love listening to him and the crew because I just wait for that. And Jim's wanting to count how many Right You Are Donnies get brought up in broadcast every single time.
It'd be a betting line, I swear.
it really, we really could do an over-under on this show of how many times you're going to hear Right You Are Donnie when a Predators game takes place at Amway. But it's fun. I'm
going to put an asterisk, and the next time we do the graphics for this is Aren't You Right, Donnie, over under. And we're going to put that as a betting line.
Next year we'll track from the beginning how many Right You Are Donnies were cracked on broadcast, like one of those like PR infographics where you put it at like the corner.
Place your bets. Yeah, you lost $40. Why? He said 40.
You guys obviously listening. You're great. Keep on doing you. Cobras going to the Preds though. Questions at QB, defensive questions, I think, especially for the Preds in terms of what they can do to slow down the Cobras. Can the Cobras match the same intensity as last week? That's something we didn't fully bring up, but again, 86 points, that's no slouching number. That's pretty darn high for any team to hit on a regular basis. And that is saying something given the fact that the Sharks have been regularly hitting 60, 70-point games all year and have been cruising as the top overall offense in the league. I'm going to be sitting here. The uncertainty at QB definitely hinders my choice in going towards Orlando. I actually have a little more faith in Carolina because I still think that they're playing some of their better ball right now. I got to go with the Cobras with my choice. Preds, I think defensively, there's a shot. Like we talked, there is an avenue where you can cause disruption. You can get Malik Henry off his game if you look at that Fayetteville playbook. I just am wondering if they are going to be able to get that done. I think that Malik Henry has consistently every week keeps getting more comfortable. And I think that was a perfect capstone last week to say, hey, dude, I have fully arrived. I'm feeling in the zone. He can maybe do it on the road. It's going to be a little tougher, probably a little tougher venue, of course, with being Amway, being the crowds that come out for those Preds games. But I go with the Cobras, man. I'm going Carolina. I'm following along with the snake pit.
Well, that's not a bad pick at all with the Cobras. Excuse me. Why is it not popping up? There we go. There we go. Technology. It doesn't work sometimes. I absolutely don't understand why sometimes. But this game, I mentioned it in the previous, in the conversation we had before our interview, is certain games have certain tendencies, and sometimes when you're breaking down the game, you want to look at individual people who can win certain individual battles, or the overall body of work of what the team is or what the team can be. Seeing that we're so deep into the season, we can tell what team is what right now. We know what Orlando is. We know what Carolina is so far this season. But I'm going to do some interesting stats for you, ladies and gentlemen. The Orlando Predators have hosted the Carolina Cobras only, get this, 3 times. They've hosted 3 times. Carolina has won all 3 matchups in Orlando. In all 3 matchups in Orlando has won a combined, well, except for one game, which is one of the only complete shutouts that happened in 2019, where Carolina beat Orlando 60-0. The other 2 times were 2 possession games. Just historical facts. Historical facts in the National Arena League is that Carolina leads the all-time series 6-2. And they have an average winning percentage against our winning point percentage, or not point percentage, speak English. And point differential. There we go. See, I was laughing at you. Now you can laugh at me.
Okay.
The Carolina Cobras have an average point differential of 13.5 points in this series. That's 2 possessions. Does it continue in this game? Well, numbers don't lie. Stats don't lie. Does Carolina go into Amway and win again? Until Orlando shows me they can beat Carolina in their own building, I'm still picking Carolina. Because sometimes you have to go with the stats. These 2 teams, by paper, look very even by the talent they have on both rosters. Do I think it's going to be that 60-0 blowout what we've seen in 2019? No. It's not going to be like that. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a very exciting game. I think it's going to be a very explosive game. I think both offenses are going to move the ball and score a lot of points. I think we're going to see the deja vu, what happened in Odessa last week. But I got the Cobras in this matchup.
Sweep for us right now, though, like I said, you never know. Preds have a veteran roster. It's just going to have to play up the stuff and get things done in front of the home crowd. Meanwhile, it is time. Game of the week pick. Do we match up picks this week? Do we match this up? It's been a while. It's been a few weeks now since we've had both of us leaning on the same choices. Let's see if this continues on as the Warbirds come around and go to the Freeman Coliseum down in San Antone to take on the Gunslingers, who are now on their big home stretch towards the back half of the season. Gunslingers have been pretty steady. Even, like I said, since their blowout loss to the Sharks, they've been pretty steady going since then. Warbirds, a lot of tuning, a lot of promise, and as we've said, interview, out of interview, it's going to be a hard out or an upset win, ? As much as I do like the West Texas Warbirds, I like Mitch Kidd. I think that you're going to see this be another close, possible 1-possession game, and Mitch will be part of that deal. It's going to be much higher scoring than last time. The Gunslingers are going to have to come up to the task to be better and more efficient at scoring against the Warbirds than they did last matchup over in the hangar. But I do think the Gunslingers get it done in front of that home crowd with the talents they have. I like Mitch Kidd, and I like what the Gunslingers have on both sides of the ball. I just think that you see a San Antonio team that's going to give a little bit more. I'll tell you what, though, out of the 2 games this week, I actually do find that this one is intriguing if we have the same game flow as the last time, where we're seeing the West Texas defense step up. Because they step up and you see Mitch Kidd get more attempts and more opportunities than, say, Daniel Smith did last time. Intriguing. It's very intriguing to think about. I don't know if that'll happen, though. I'm still going to go with the Gunslingers. I have that much more faith at the moment that they will pull this out. But boy, when I multi-view both these games, I'm expecting some good football. I have no worries about whichever one's on screen. I'm going to have a fun time with either one. Let's see, Jim. Though, do you agree with me? You're going to split off. You're going to take the Warbirds train or Warbird's flight for the second week in a row?
You know what? The way I broke down the first game is unique. You picked the Gunslingers is a great pick. I really like that pick. But San Antonio, my fans, my family, the Smoking Guns podcast, the West Texas Warbirds will go into the Freeman Coliseum and they will. Nah, San Antonio wins this game. I think San Antonio wins this game. They hold off. I think it's going to be a good game, but I just have a feeling that the week off for San Antonio is just enough for them to make enough a game plan to find a way to hold Mitch Kidd and that explosive offense in West Texas down. Give me the Gunslingers in this one.
I was envisioning either Phil or Ralph as the person that was rotating that that coat hanger and saying, you know what? I ain't taking this today. No, you're not going to say that. But I don't think West Texas is one that, like, we sweep the votes on it. But, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's like a definitive guarantee that the Gunslingers get it done. I mean, let's face it. You know, the differential does add context to the Gunslinger season. It's been a lot of one possession games. They've gotten it done, and fans of that team, they have said it in droves. And I agree with you. Getting it done is important. If you're 6-1, you execute and you get things done. But they play close games. It comes down to those few plays, usually at the very end. It's who doesn't flinch last, or who flinches last, you know, that type of deal. And so if you let West Texas stay with you, you have to play up to that. Okay, we're back in this same song and dance, and luck doesn't always stay around. So to me, San Antonio on paper should win this game. West Texas, though, has proven that we ain't going to make it that obvious that you're going to, we ain't going to make it that easy, or we are going to make damn sure that if you are going to win, you can't slip up. You're going to have to make us slip up, or we're going to have to do it to ourselves. It's that simple.
Yeah. And honestly, I think this is going to be an exciting game. I think this is, even though the record doesn't show for West Texas, they are a much better team than a couple of weeks ago when they faced against San Antonio. San Antonio got the win over Orlando, got their bye week, got some rest, got some more film, got some more practice time to get ready for West Texas. I think they'll just be prepared in the Freeman, and I think a good crowd, good atmosphere, and I think it's going to be a good showdown. Now, honestly, what they say, rivalries usually don't start until something happens that was not expected. You can name it. You can name this game no matter what you want to call it, but it's not a rivalry until someone does something that they're not predicted to do. So, who knows? Does West Texas go in there and pull off an upset? Because if that happens, you got yourself a rivalry.
You certainly do. Jason Gibson has said it to us before. Got to get a win on the other side before we can really start talking deets and all that. And we encourage it. We like the little battles. We like the kind of, you know, fan base is saying, rah, rah, here we go. You know, and credit Top Gunner being Top Gunner, still throwing the Gunslingers around thing. That's still
it's a classic.
It's funny. I think that might actually stick for Warbirds fans, and that is going to be hilarious if so. But it's catching on to me. I don't know about you guys. It's catching on to me. I like it. I think it's funny as hell.
I'm just glad that we haven't been getting attacked by Top Gunner. It's Smoking Guns has been getting all the action against him now.
Who we versing though? Is he?
Yeah.
We got to take him on in some way. Maybe like mascots meet up at the championship, and we're like, oh, they volunteered us for the halftime mascot football game where we have to be. It's media versus mascots. Top Gunner's the quarterback. Are you blitzing as the Mac, Jim? Are you going up the A gap, or am I going to be going up the A gap?
I play defensive line, so no. No, I'm not.
Well, then we're both going to be on line. I'll be the left side edge. You can be the right.
Nah. You can get more athletic guy to play the jack in the Mac. Now, if we're on offense, we actually have a legit quarterback though. We got Mason.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ace in the hole. We got Mason Espinosa. Game over.
Yeah, you ain't gonna stop our offense. Our receivers might be slow, but our quarterbacks will get the ball there in the right
Game
place.
over. I was center in high school. I will snap to him.
The problem is I never played offense when I played football. I was always defense.
No, that's okay. You'll be the Iron Man character here. You'll be either the tight end or you'll be that one of the other edges that just is there to be a big body in the way. Or you can be a fullback. You trust yourself holding on to a ball?
Yeah. Problem is I can trust myself holding on the ball. The question is, will my knees survive trusting holding on to a ball?
Touche. I hope we have pads on. I at least want something so I don't smack the turf. I mean, sure, but like
Jim just got thrown to the board. No.
Dang. Top Gunner did that. He got him hard.
Dang.
All right, everyone. I think that's about going to do it.
The gift throwing the dang towel.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah.
I would be that guy. I would be like your Apollo Creed trainer on the other side. Throw in the damn towel. And you just, even though it's breaks mascot rule, it would be the way of like you go up to us like, yeah, man, we're gonna have a good time, and you just hear through the mask, I will break you. Did you just talk? He walks away. He doesn't say anything.
No, he'll the mask. If he dies, he dies.
He dies.
Now we're going to talk about Rocky now. Okay, it's time to end the show today. Folks.
Yeah, I think we finally gotten to the finish. The finish line's there, but like we clearly have stumbled to it. I'm going to touch the end line and say this is it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're wanting to keep up with the latest in the National Arena League, including future changes to the schedule and what we'll be doing, hopefully to get Chris Siegfried on, Commissioner of the NAL, on to discuss some of these changes. Pay attention to our social at InWallsPod, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where we also drop, as Jim does very quite frequently, any other news nuggets, graphics that we do, video highlights, and some of those excellent mashups. You can catch a lot of his content on InWallsPod channels on those favorite social media platforms if you follow along. By the way, pushing for that 1K on Facebook. We're really close. I've been noticing a bit more. We're now under 90 new followers that we need away before we hit 1,000 on Facebook. That's a huge accomplishment for us that we're looking for to hit, that we kind of snuck up on us. We didn't see it, but we're like, dang, you guys are really popping off and following along. Tell your friends. We're close to 1K. We'll be a big celebration about that when that happens. Subscribe to the channel, by the way, too. Doing great stuff on the channel. Glad to see you guys tuning in for the YouTube videos. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Click that bell. Builds morale, not only for you, but for us, too, as another one of my shows says. And, hey, we get to bring you some excellent content. That bell helps you see when we drop our episodes because, we're doing 2 a week. So if you miss one and you fall behind, I mean, geez, man, you got to go back and watch the whole thing. Click that bell, man. You'll be keeping up with the rest of us when you get to chime in and listen in, and you don't miss any interviews too, like we did with Kevin, like you had with that Kevin Reynolds one we posted on here as well. Got good content, got good videos and content. You don't want to miss it. Click the bell, builds morale, and it gives you a good reminder. Well, before we go, remember one thing. He already kind of hinted at it already because Trayvon Shorts. Now we just need to get you on the show so we can have that joke and finish it off. But Jim, what do we got to remember? What does Trayvon got to remember?
Don't be a jack out of the box.
Until next time, everybody, I'm Zach Kalman. He's Jim Bernier. We'll catch you for NAL Rebound Week 11 edition, episode 112 this coming week. Stay tuned till then. Follow the show. Have a good weekend, guys. Great games ahead. Love you all. You guys are awesome. See ya then.
covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.